حيث لم يحتسبوا وقذف في قلوبهم يخربون بيوتهم بأيديهم وأبد المؤمنين فاعتبروا يا أولى البصير صدق الله العلي العظيم.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، شفيع المذنبين، حبيب إله العالمين، خاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين، أبي القاسم محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
قال الله الحكيم في كتابه الكريم وهو أصدق الصادقين: وإذ قالت الملائكة يا مريم إن الله اصطفاك وطهرك واصطفاك على نساء العالمين. أما بعد, brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. For the hastening and the return of our Imam and the zuhur of our Imam, especially during these times where his absence is more felt, when the Muslimin are going through difficulties, let us begin with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ali.
We are commemorating the Wafat of Lady Ummul Baneen, salamullah alayha. And I want to talk about siyada and the value, the inherent value within different individuals. In the Quran, Maryam salamullah alayha is referred to as the Sayyidatun Nisa al-Alameen, that she is the pinnacle of all of the women of the world. In narrations, we also have this phrase referred to for the lady Fatima salamullah alayha, that she is Sayyidatun Nisa. But there's a big difference between this Sayyidatun Nisa and that Sayyidatun Nisa. Between this lady who is referred to as the pinnacle of the women in the Quran and the daughter of the Prophet who is referred to as the pinnacle of women by the Prophet. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam,
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil.
he said, Maryam kanat Sayyidatun Nisa zamanaha, that Maryam, she was the pinnacle of women of her time. Amma Fatima fahiya Sayyidatun Nisa al-Alameen min al-awwalina wal-akhirin. But Fatima salamullah alayha, she is the pinnacle of women from the beginning to the end, meaning this is an expansive understanding of who is the pinnacle of women. When the Mufassirin look at the Quran, there's certain verses that you can look at and it seems like it's very expansive, but in fact it's localized. So when it talks about the Bani Israel, it says, فَضَّلْتُكُمْ عَلَى الْعَالَمِينَ, that Allah gave you a fadl, Allah gave you a blessing that He didn't give to the other people. And it says that this fast was something he gave you from amongst all of the world. But this world is not the world of all times. This is a localized, it's a temporal version of the world. Alameen can refer to different places. So the term that they use is the aqlam, that is particular lands that the Alameen is referring to. But those lands at that time, not in all times. So Bani Israel are chosen. The Quran is saying that Allah just chose you for the special fast. What happens is that they corrupt this idea of this fast, and they say that this is something about our essence. This is the essence of Bani Israel, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has elevated them above other people. Whereas when you look at the Quran, it says, Ya Bani Israel, udhkuru ni'mati allati an'amta alaykum. He's reminding them, remember the ni'mah, the blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you. Because they're not cognizant. They're having ghafla. Instead of understanding that Allah gave them a special blessing and therefore they have a special responsibility on their shoulders, they take it to mean something about their essence. But it means nothing about their essence. Today we are dealing with the problem of Zionism in the world, and it stems from this idea that these people, once upon a time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them a favor to see how they would respond to that favor. Instead of seeing it as a favor that now they have to repay, they said that we're special. We are chosen. We are above the other people of the world. And so we have a lot of what is unraveling today, where people can be against God. They can say that we don't even believe in God. There's individuals who are Zionists, they make documentaries against the existence of God, al-ayaz billah. But then they still say God chose us. And this is the pinnacle of the arrogance that they have reached. Whereas the Quran is saying that you were chosen, Allah gave you a favor, but it means nothing about your essence. If you get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will increase those favors. But otherwise, Allah can replace you with any other people, and He can replace those people with another people. And you who are the mu'mineen today, take lessons from the Bani Israel. Allah can replace you with another people. Allah can constantly do this. There's nothing about your essence that makes you elevated. Ala Muhammad wa alayhi salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
So Bukhari in his Sahih and Shaykh Nayshaburi, he also has this narration from, or the Hakim Nayshaburi has this narration from the Messenger of Allah, where he says, Fatima Sayyidatun Nisa al-Alameen min al-awwalina wal-akhirin. That she is a Sayyida, she has this nobility, she has this distinction from amongst all of the women, from the beginning of time to the end. This means this is expansive. This is not localized. This is not something that's, Fatima had, that somebody else can replace her, or somebody else is going to have that. Or another part of the narration is a similar wording. It says, Sayyidun Nisa'i Ahlil Jannah. That she is the pinnacle of women of paradise. Right? Paradise is after this dunya. So this means there's something about her essence. Ahlul Jannah, or already they're Ahlul Jannah. Everybody's been tested, they've been tried, and they become Ahlul Jannah. She is the pinnacle of those women. So this is much more expansive. This is not like the other verses we mentioned in the Quran. The verse about Maryam sallallahu alayha has nothing, there's nothing that denotes that this is an expansive Sayyid Nisa. It means that at her time, she was the pinnacle of the women. The idea I want to get to is to discuss this concept of siyada, being at the pinnacle, nobility, if we want to translate it that way, in Islam. A few weeks ago, we discussed the respect that we should have for the Prophet, his family, and the offspring of Rasulullah, the offspring of the Imam of Ahlul Bayt, people who refer to as Sayyid. And it raised some questions, so it's important to try to understand where is the Islamic perspective coming from. What is this siyada? What is the source of this siyada? How important is it? Why do we emphasize this, particularly as Shia, the followers of Ahlul Bayt? The particular siyada that we look at, when we call people Sayyid or Sayyida, the value of this, it stems from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam himself.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil.
This nobility, this distinction that Rasulullah has is not arbitrary. Right? People in the materialistic view attribute values to different things arbitrarily. This person has that much money, so they're important. This person has a position, so they're important. But the siyada of Rasulullah is not arbitrary. It's not aradi in the Hawzawi language. They say that it's not aradi, it's dhati. It's part of his essence. Right? This is a real nobility. This is a real distinction that Rasulullah has. In fact, it's so real, and the value of it is so high in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that his siyada goes both ways. It's not just that his offspring are worthy of respect, but his ancestors, his forefathers, because of the distinction of Rasulullah. Right? Sometimes the son can have such distinction that the father is honored by it. More commonly, it's the father that has a distinction, and then the son is honored by it. Right? That's a siyada that you're receiving because of the value of somebody that you're related to. It's by relationship. That's iktisabi. You're receiving this siyada from them. So some while ago, if you remember, we had the scholar come here, and he was a scholar in his own right. But people introduced him as the son of a manager. They said his father's a manager. This is the siyada that's rubbing off from his father to him. That you have this distinction. You have this level of nobility. You have a daraja, you have this distinction that nobody else in this community at least can say that they have. That you grew up in a household of ijtihad, a household of discussing al-sadiq or al-baqir in this extreme depth. This is a distinction that you have. And so someone like me is going to show them respect because of the father. Right? So this is kind of the concept of what we're doing. If the son is related to somebody who is worthy of distinction, then that respect is also going to rub off on that individual. And of course, we have the verse in the Quran, قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا إِلَّا الْمَوَدَّةَ فِي الْقُرْبَى عَلَى مُحَمَّدٍ وَعَلَيْهِ السَّلَامُ.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil.
Inshallah, in the future we'll get to the tafsir of these verses. Maybe we can do just a tafsir of the ayahs that relate to the Ahlul Bayt. Just have a discussion about that. But in the Quran it is saying that Rasulullah is requesting, or Allah is commanding Rasulullah to request the people for nothing other than to show love, to show mawadda to those who are close to him, those who are kin to him. So all of this begs a deeper question about the value, the intrinsic value of something. We said Rasulullah, it is his essence. Fatima Zahra sallallahu alayha, it is by her essence. What are we talking about? What does this mean? When we say this distinction is from them, it's a real distinction. It's not an arbitrary distinction. In the materialistic view, people will look at two objects, say gold and dirt, and they will say this one is shiny, that one is not, so this one is valuable, that one's not. It's an arbitrary association of value with a particular object. But it doesn't actually mean anything about that object. There are certain things that you can do with dirt that are much more important than what you can do with gold. You can't plant a seed inside of the gold and have it grow, for example. This means that there's something intrinsic about dirt that gold doesn't have. Or in a materialistic view, if people were trading, gold for, say, a bag of air, nobody would do that trade. They'll say, this is gold. Why would I trade it for air? Even though air actually has a very high intrinsic value because you cannot survive without it. Right? And so, people of different sciences, economists, for example, they will talk about supply and demand, and because, this is the setup, this is why we are arbitrarily associating value with these different things. But they admit that the values associated, all of these are arbitrary. All of the wars that are fought in the world today are because of these arbitrary values of materialistic things. They look at money, they look at power, and they attribute these arbitrary values, and it causes people to go into conflict with one another. And this is an old story. We see it over and over in the Quran. The Fir'aun alayhim al-la'nat, when he comes across Musa, after Musa is commanded, idhab ila Fir'aun, that go toward Fir'aun and tell him to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When Musa shows up in front of Fir'aun, Fir'aun looks at the clothes of Musa. He says, oh, these rags that he's wearing. He looks at the staff of Musa. Musa had that staff, this cane of his, it was just carved wood. It wasn't anything fancy. And Fir'aun, when he sees Musa in this state, it says, فَلَوْلَا أُلْقِيَ عَلَيْهِ أَسْوِرَةٌ مِّن ذَهَبٍ. He says, if you were truly the prophet of God, then why is it that you don't have any gold bracelets? That you don't have jewelry? Even my slaves, my servants have jewelry. Why is it that you weren't brought here, escorted here with the angels behind you? Look at how I was escorted into this room. I walk in and all of these people come. Until I'm seated, they don't disperse. All of this honor and dignity that I have. Arbitrary stuff. Materialistic view. This is not something from today. Fir'aun is looking at what Musa is wearing, what Musa is holding, what he's decorated with. These materialistic things. In the time of Nuh alayhi salam, the Quran tells us about one of the oppositions that his enemies had was to the people who followed Nuh already. He said, look at your followers. These people are poor and destitute and broken people themselves. You want us to join up with them? If your followers were kings and queens and wealthy people, then maybe we would want to become your followers too. But look at who your followers are. In the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam,
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil.
The Mushrikeen said, وَقَالُوا لَوْلَا نُزِّلَ هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ عَلَى رَجُلٍ مِنَّ الْقَرْيَتَيْنِ عَظِيمٍ. If Allah was to give us a prophet, if you're really a prophet, why aren't you from the noble men of Ta'if and the rich men of Mecca? Why did he choose a shepherd boy? An illiterate shepherd boy who was raised as an orphan, who has no distinction like the great men of Ta'if and Mecca. This is materialism. This is the value system that Islam is going to turn on its head. This is the value system that we are not going to look for the concept of siyada, of nobility, of someone who has distinction above others. It says that after Islam, Abu Sufyan alayhi al-la'na, he goes to Medina. And when he's in Medina, he goes into the marketplace and he's standing in line like the other people. He's walking up to the shops and they're looking away. And he becomes extremely upset. Abu Sufyan is enraged and he starts to shout. He says, I am Abu Sufyan, and he starts to announce himself and talk about his pedigree and his riches and his wealth. Abu Sufyan is used to having people bow to him in the point of sajda. This is how arrogant he had become. People would prostrate to him in the form of ruku and in the form of sajda. But when he goes into Medina, where the Muslims are, they're not giving him that distinction. They're saying we don't recognize that value system anymore. The value system we recognize is something else, and you don't fit that value system. Right? We have to be very careful in our own lives, in our own communities, not to fall into this materialistic value system. Right? It's very easy to fall into that. Sometimes subconsciously, they ask, oh, who was at the Majlis that evening? Or who came to that invitation? And you say, oh, nobody showed up, right? Because there wasn't that rich person or that noteworthy individual. So you say nobody, all the other people are nobodies, right? This is that materialistic value system that's creeping in. This is that Pharaoni value system that's creeping in. Right? What Islam values is that taqwa. What Islam values is that journey toward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and how you are traveling. What kind of traveler are you as you move toward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What Islam values is akhlaq. What Islam values is sabr. This is the kind of thing that gives intrinsic value to something. Ala Muhammad wa alayhi salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil.
So Fatima sallallahu alayha, she has this iktisabi value by virtue of being the daughter of the Prophet. This is a great distinction. It's a great honor. But also, when you look at the iman of Fatima, when you look at the amal of Fatima, when you look at the ikhlas of Fatima, that is what causes Fatima to become Sayyidat al-Nisa al-Alameen min al-awwaleen wal-akhirin. From the beginning till the end, no one can match the way that she journeyed toward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So now we arrive at this lady who we are commemorating her Wafat this evening, Ummul Baneen salamullah alayha. If you can recite salawat for her.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil faraj.
There's much to be said about the iman of this lady, about the taqwa, about the love that she had for the Ahlul Bayt, about the adab that she had, the mannerisms that she had toward the Ahlul Bayt, and the importance of that mannerism was so much that she raised her children on that mannerism and that methodology of respecting the Ahlul Bayt, especially the children of Fatima. It says that Ummul Baneen, to talk about the iktisabi side of her, what she received from her tribe, she comes from the Bani Amir. Bani Amir were known to be brave people, to be warriors, to be fighters. Ummul Baneen comes from a tribe like that. There's one story that I came across. It says that Ummul Baneen's uncle was such a man of distinction because of the way that he fought, that when the Bani Amir, they went to Rome and they met with the emperor of Rome, the emperor asked them about the uncle of Ummul Baneen. Are you related to this individual? And when they say they're related, the emperor gives gifts to take back to this individual. Right? This is how much they were heard of, the way that they were fighting and the bravery that they had. When Amir al-Mu'minin salam asks his brother Aqil to find him a spouse, he gives Aqil a list of characteristics. I want her to be somebody who is brave, who comes from a tribe of warriors, people who are fearless. Aqil, who is somebody who understands the genetics of people, he understands the tribal backgrounds of people. He is involved in that kind of a science. Immediately he thinks of the tribe of Bani Amir. And he goes and looks into the different families of Bani Amir. And he finds the house of Hazan and Samama. Hazan is the father of Ummul Baneen, and Samama is the mother of Ummul Baneen. And he identifies these people as extremely brave and having the qualities that Imam Ali alayhi salam is looking for. So when we talk about Abbas alayhi salam and his bravery, it is coming from both sides. Abbas has the Hashimi bravery, and he has the Amiri bravery. Right? From both sides he is receiving this. When you look at it, it's really interesting. You look at the story of Muhammad Hanafiya, and he's very brave. He's fighting in the battle alongside Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam. But Amir al-Mu'minin notices that Muhammad Hanafiya, he takes one step forward and he takes one step backward. Amir al-Mu'minin recognizes that he has that Hashimi bravery, but there's something holding him back. Right? Abbas is not like that. And Muhammad Hanafiya was very brave. He fought very valiantly. But Abbas had this from his mother's side as well. Ala Muhammad wa alayhi salam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil.
When Ummul Baneen gets married to Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam, it says that the first day that she enters into the house, Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein were ill, they were sick. Look at the adab of this lady. This is the first day that she's coming into the house, and she immediately approaches Hassanain, and she says that I have come to your home in order to be your servant. Not that I'm getting married to your father, I'm like your mother, nothing like that. She says, I'm coming into your home to be your servant. I will tend to you. Ask me for whatever it is that you wish. Another thing that Baneen did is she notices Imam Ali alayhi salam would call her by her name. Her name is Fatima. Imam Ali, when he wanted to call her, he would say, Ya Fatima, I have a request of you, for example. Baneen is so sensitive to the children of Fatima sallallahu alayha that she says to Imam Ali, Ya Ali, don't call me Fatima any longer. Imam Ali says, what is wrong with this name? This is a beautiful name. She says, I love the name. I love that my name is Sani. It's the same name as Fatima sallallahu alayha, the daughter of the Prophet. But the problem is when I see these children hear the name Fatima, they're reminded of their mother. And when they see me, they might be disappointed. You're calling me the same way that you would call upon their mother. So give me a different name. Call me something else. Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam says to Ummul Baneen, then we shall call you from now on Ummul Baneen. So this is the title that Imam Ali gives to her, to Fatima bint Hizam. Fatima, the daughter of Hizam, becomes known as Ummul Baneen. At this time, Ummul Baneen is very young, and she doesn't have any children. She said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, but I don't have any sons. Why are you calling me the mother of sons, the mother of boys? Amir al-Mu'mineen says that Allah shall give you the best of sons, the sons that the world has never seen the like of. This is why I'm calling you Ummul Baneen. And of course, the Ahlul Bayt, they had a special love for Ummul Baneen. Imam Hassan, Imam Hussein, Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam. The love that Zainab had for Ummul Baneen, the love that Imam Zain al-Abidin had for Ummul Baneen is extraordinary. When we see the love that Ahlul Bayt had for her, this is why we sit down and have a majlis for Ummul Baneen. It says that Imam Zain al-Abidin was with Fazl. Fazl walks in the room. Fazl is the grandson of Abbas alayhi salam. So Baneen is going to be his great-grandmother. Fazl walks into the room Imam Zain al-Abidin is, and he can tell, Imam Zain al-Abidin can tell that Fazl has been crying, he's been weeping. He says, Fazl, what's happened to you? And Fazl, he bursts and he starts crying. And he says, Ya Mawla, I just received news that my mother Baneen has passed away. It says Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam, immediately he breaks down and he starts to cry. He starts to weep. This immense love that the Ahlul Bayt they had for Baneen. Ala Muhammad wa alayhi salam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ali.
She is the mother of Bab al-Hawaj, the mother of the gateway to wishes. Everyone knows that you can go to the shrine of Abbas alayhi salam and have him remove the most difficult of calamities in your life. If you haven't been to Karbala, make your way to Karbala. If you haven't been to the shrine of Abbas, make your way to the shrine of Abbas. He is Bab al-Hawaj. You can ask and you can present your request to Abbas, and there are miracle stories of what Abbas can do for people. Baneen herself also grants the Hawaj. So inshallah we will turn our attention to Baneen, take our hearts toward the caravan of the Ahlul Bayt. Inshallah we could dim the lights with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil.
The narration says that لما قربنا المدينة نزل علي بن الحسين عليه السلام. When the caravan of Ahlul Bayt approached the city of Medina. They weren't quite there. They were on the outskirts of the city of Medina. Imam Zayn al-Abidin, he dismounts his horse. فَحَتَّى يَحْلَبُ وَضَرَبَ فِي الصَّادِ وَأَنزَلَ النِّصَابِ. Imam Zayn al-Abidin, he sets up camp right outside of the city of Medina. They put up all of their tents. He tells all of the women to enter into the tents and to rest there for a while. Imam Zayn al-Abidin sees Bashir, and he calls over Bashir. He says, Ya Bashir, Rahim Allah abak laqad kana sha'ira. O Bashir, may Allah have mercy upon your late father. He was a poet. Have you received any of this poetry? Are you capable of reciting poetry as well? قلت بلى يا ابن رسول الله. Yes, ya ibn Rasulullah, I am also a poet just like my father was. So then Imam Zayn al-Abidin says, O Bashir, فَادْخُلِ الْمَدِينَ وَمَنْعُ أَبَا عَبْدِ اللَّهِ. Then O Bashir, go into Medina and tell the people about what has happened to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. All of these members of Ahlul Bayt, they've gone through so much difficulty. They've lost so much. Every city that they entered, they were disrespected there. O Bashir, I want us to remain outside of Medina until you've informed everyone in Medina of what's happened. Tell them to gather in the masjid of the Prophet and to come to give their condolences to the women of the Ahlul Bayt. Bashir says, دخلت المدينة فلما بلغت مسجد النبي صلى الله عليه وآله رفعت صوتي بالبكاء. He said, I entered into the masjid of the Prophet. As soon as I walked in, I couldn't hold in my tears. I burst into crying, and I began to say very loudly, وأنشأت أقول يا أهل مقام لكم بها. O people of Medina, there is no purpose in staying and remaining in this city anymore. قتل الحسين فدمعي مدرار. O people of Medina, Hussein has been murdered. الجسم منه بكربلاء مفرج والرأس منه على القناة يدار. His body remains in Karbala, blood and covered with dirt, while his head is going from city to city upon a spear. Bashir said that he entered into the masjid and he started saying all of this to the people. And he saw people coming, all of the women of Medina exited their homes and came to Masjid al-Nabi. He says, I saw crying and wailing like I had never seen before. And then I noticed that there was a lady. The Ahlul Bayt had entered into Masjid al-Nabi, and the environment had changed. And I saw people slapping themselves in their faces. Then I saw a lady standing beside me quietly, listening to my poetry. I asked someone, I said, who is this lady standing here? They said, Bashir, this is Ummul Baneen. This is the wife of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. She has lost 4 of her sons in Karbala. Recite something for her. Bashir said, I turned to Ummul Baneen and I said, my lady, shall I recite for you? Shall I read some poetry for you? Ummul Baneen says, oh Bashir, أخبرني عن أبي عبد الله الحسين. Bashir, yes, recite for me. Tell me something about Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Bashir, he knows that Ummul Baneen has lost 4 of her sons. So he tries to give condolence to Baneen. He says, "Oh Baneen, may Allah give you patience for the loss of your son Abdullah." Then Baneen said, "Bashir, I didn't tell you to tell me anything about Abdullah, my son Abdullah. I want you to recite something for Hussein." Then Bashir says, Baneen, may Allah give you patience for your son Ja'far. Then Baneen, she begins to cry and she said, "Bashir, recite for me, أخبرني عن علي عبد الله الحسين. Tell me something about Abu Abdullah al-Hussein." Then Bashir again gives condolences for Uthman. Then Bashir gives condolences for Abbas. As soon as he gives his condolence, Baneen says, قَدْ قَطَعْتَ نِيَاضَ قَلْبِي. "Oh Bashir, you are tearing away at my heartstrings. أولادي ومن تحت الخضراء كلهم فداء لأبي عبد الله الحسين." "Oh Bashir, you should know that all of my sons and everything that is under the skies, may all of it be sacrificed for Hussein." After Karbala, people used to come to the house of Baneen and give condolences. Zainab al-Kubra was one of the first to go to her house and give her the condolences. And when they would approach her, they would call her Baneen. And Baneen, she was herself a great poet, and she has these lines. These lines in poetry are from Baneen herself. She said, "لا تدعوني ويك البنين تذكريني باليوث العرين كانت بنون لي أدعى بهم واليوم أصبحت ولا من بنين." She says, "Don't call me Baneen anymore. Baneen means the one who has sons, the mother of sons, and I no longer have any boys with me." And there's a final passage of this poem that she has. It says, "يا ليت شعري أكما أخبر كأن عباسا مطيع اليمين." She says, "Can someone confirm this news that I have heard? Is it true that Abbas fell to the ground while his hands were cut off?" "No longer call me the mother of boys, the mother of boys, the mother of boys. I am now that mother without sons, without sons, without sons. Will you tell me if it's true, if it's true, if it's true, that I'll never see my beloved ones, my beloved ones, my beloved ones. You can forever ignore my name, ignore my name, ignore my name. I am now that mother without sons, without sons, without sons." Let us momentarily, just briefly, turn our hearts to Bab and Hawa and Wafat, the son of Baneen. Look at the adab that Abbas has. It says that Abbas never referred to Hussein as his brother. All of his life, when he wanted to call Imam Hussein, he would have adab, he would have respect, and he would say, "Ya Sayyidi wa Mawlai, oh my master, oh my Imam." But there's only one time that Abbas calls Hussein brother, and this is the instant when he is falling off of his horse. As Abbas is falling to the ground, he doesn't have any hands to break his fall. He falls onto his face, and he says, "Adrek akha, adrek akha, brother, come to my aid. سيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون." الله يا الله يا الله. اللهم اغفر لوالدينا ولوالدي والدينا وارحم موتانا واغفر ذنوبنا واستر عيوبنا وانصر اخواننا المسلمين واحفظ قائدنا وعجل فرج مولانا صاحب الزمان.
يا حسين 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 يا حسين
Zahra Jaya Dasra Ghazi Zahra Jaya Dasra Ghazi
حسين يا حسين يا حسين
مظلوم
حسين
غريب
حسين
شهيد
حسين
عطشان
حسين
مولا
حسين
يا أبي عبد الله
يا أبي عبد الله
يا أبي عبد الله
يا أبي عبد الله
يكتب وتنهى
يا أبي عبد الله
ورد الزهرة
يا أبي عبد الله
يا ابن الهيلة
يا أبي عبد الله
يا ابن الزهرة
يا أبي عبد الله
طيبي كفن
يا أبي عبد الله
نور زبرة
يا أبي عبد الله
نور رسل
يا أبي عبد الله
بنينا
يا أبي عبد الله
نور رسل
يا أبي عبد الله
بكربلاء
يا أبي عبد الله
يا ظلام
يا أبي عبد الله
حاجاتنا
يا أبي عبد الله
شفاعة
يا أبي عبد الله
مزاينا
يا أبي عبد الله
جارينا
يا أبي عبد الله
أهبالنا
يا أبي عبد الله
يا أبي الله
يا أبي عبد الله
يا
يا أبي
أبي الله
عبد الله
وبرنا
شوقا ميرسل هر لحظه بوی کربلا
بردلم ترسم بیمان آرزوی
کربلا
تشنه آب فراتم ای اجل
حالت بده
تا
بگیرم در قبل قبر شهید کربلا
حسین جانم
حسین جانم
حسین جانم
حسین جانم
حسین جانم
حسین جانم
ذکر حسین
ذکر الله
حب حسین
حب الله
ذکر حسین
ذکر الله
حب حسین
حب الله
سمن من
سلامكم يا أبا عبد الله سلامكم يا أبا عبد الله
لوحي بابكار
يا إمام الكون
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 يا زينب يا زينب
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 يا حجة ابن الحسن أجل على ظهورك اللهم أجل وفي كل إصابة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنوا وتكاد طوعا وتمتعوا فيها طويلا برحمتك يا ارحم الراحمين.
اللهم صل على.
May your reward be with Allah and may it be granted through the